Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. Holy smokes, man, we are back. We took a week off, and when I mean week, it was one day, Wednesday, but we're glad we're here. We got an amazing friend and guest. We actually just went ATV riding just about a week and a half ago and had a blast, a couple breakdowns, but you know, we're crazy entrepreneurs, so we overcome obstacles and diversity, and we made it happen thanks to my good friend Brad. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in here at Community with Closers. You know, we're bringing awesome guests on, new content, and, you know, trying to spice things up a little bit. So we're going to be doing some classes coming up. If you guys are interested in classes on this, more teaching, you know, it's been conversational. It was teaching in the beginning. So if you guys haven't seen some of the episodes, go back to the beginning. We got some teaching in there, and then we have some, you know, relationship building, stories, you know, that kind of stuff. So just cool stuff coming. And if you have ideas, hey, I want to hear about them. So post in the comments and reach out to me. But with that being said, I want to bring in my man, Brad Williams. Go ahead and bring him on. What is up, Brad?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
I am doing well.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude.
It's always good to hang out, and yeah, just glad to be here.
Yes. No, I'm excited to have you, man, because it's been a long time coming. We got, you know, so much going on. It's been crazy. We just had a flood here actually last week, and that was a mess, man. My whole barn flooded. It was like a river going through our barn.
Wow.
But
it was a lot of rain. So how much, do you know how much rain you guys got there?
All I know is it filled up my trash can.
Holy smokes.
So it was a lot of rain.
Holy smoke. So I have to ask, I heard you talking about the ATV trip. What's
Yes.
the status on the machines?
They're all the same as we packed them up on the trailer.
It didn't go as planned, did it?
No. But I mean, the yellow ATV, I have to hand it. It did last longer than I thought it was going to, because that thing had a mean tick on it. But I still got to tear into it. We're going to use it as a homeschool project, and I'm going to have all, you know, the kids, and we're going to dig into the motor and find out exactly what went on with that. I think it was the timing chain.
I want to go to the Pat Clark homeschool where we get to work on ATVs and get credit for it. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. I will say that we've done some pretty cool projects. We built a whole car. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that. So one of your car builds you guys did in school with the kids. I assume it was one of the Z's.
It was. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yep.
That's so good though. You know, I think that stuff is like so needs a place in school and I don't know how much of that they still do, but I think it's so valuable to like learn. So many of us are like so much better at learning through doing things with our hands tactically than learning by listening to somebody talk at us. And there's so much value, and it's practical, right? Like car breaks down, knowing what to do, having some idea, not just being like, you know, who's going to help me.
Exactly. And those are the skills. Like today, my daughter was in it. We were putting the computer on it, you know, showing the OBD2 port, you know, reading the codes, you know, all those kinds of things. Because, you know, in reality, you know, unfortunately, some shops will take advantage of girl drivers, right? In the sense they're like, you need a new battery, you need this, you need that, or, you know, you got this code, you need a new motor. And it's like, well, actually, right?
So true. And sometimes they just need help because they don't know either, you know?
That's right. Yes, this is true. But dude, that actually brings me to a point where, you know, when I think about sales, right? And we're talking about, you know, going into entrepreneurship, and it was like hands-on real life learning. I never went to like a sales class. You know, I read, you know, a couple books, maybe Zig Ziglar a couple times, right? Yeah. And like got the idea about sales. And so I know for me, when I was getting into sales, it was more relationship building. I can make anybody laugh. I had a million stories, and you become a good storyteller. Uh, and I think that's key in sales is like, sales training is great. Don't get me wrong. But learning your own technique, learning how to storytell and be a really good communicator, really helped for me. What was some takeaways from, maybe some of your past sales careers or something about getting into sales that helped you, would you say?
I really resonate with what you said about relationship building.
Mm,
I don't consider myself like a great salesperson by any means,
mhm.
but what I have found works time and time again is to get to know people. And so, like, I was thinking about, what were some things that really stood out to me that I've done or that have like really made a difference. Um, a couple things that have happened time and time again are one, uh, going to people and getting in proximity with them. Like there's like I've always found that, and this maybe sounds obvious, it's easier to make a connection face to face.
Yes.
And so if there's somebody that I want to do business with, I need to go get in proximity with them. I'm always way better than that. If I were trying to get them on the phone, like, I don't like talking on the phone. They probably don't like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
That can be a little bit challenging to get over that. But if you can get to an event or you can get somewhere that you can go shake somebody's hand and read their body language and start a conversation with them, um, that has always worked better. And, a lot of the selling I have done has been to other businesses.
Hmm.
So I've just always found like whether it's a local event, and I remember early on in our marketing business, we'd go to like the local events that were going on
Yeah.
in like the real estate world.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we were selling at, and so we'd go, and even if we couldn't speak or we didn't have a booth, we'd go and shake people's hands. And I've just always found that like going to people and making that effort and showing up is like the best way to break the ice for me. But that's because like I'm not the guy to, being in those environments kind of helped me get over my fear of
Sure.
initiating things. It felt like it was easier there when somebody was, in a place where they were expecting me to like introduce myself.
Yeah. No, it's funny. We were just talking about that because I'm up in Connecticut and we're training our territory manager, if you will, or salesperson to go into B2B, right?
Mhm.
Sell commercial jobs. And it's like you want to see the whites in their eye, It's like you got to build that relationship. And it's weird and it's awkward in the very beginning. And you got to become almost like an investigator because these
Oh
people are
yeah.
hidden, right?
Yeah.
Like they know like every sales guy down the road is coming to their door with donuts, blah, blah, blah. Right. So you have to be different. You have to have that communication that's different where you stick out like a sore thumb. They remember you.
Yeah. That so made me think about an experience for a period of time. I was in a business and we were on the manufacturing distribution side of the cleaning industry.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about, we were doing some industrial sales for a while, and it amazed me. And this is one thing, like, again, like way out of Brad's comfort zone to like
Hmm.
go into somebody's business uninvited.
Yeah.
But what I found, and this is what I think should be like anybody that's like facing that, right? Like,
Hmm.
one, you wouldn't believe how receptive a friendly face is.
Mm. Yeah.
Like it's not like, yeah, some people don't want you there. But
Yep.
if you just go up and you don't come with like, here's my paper, here's my flyer, here's my thing I want to sell, and you just go talk to people, ask some questions. I
Hmm.
found that there was very few people, whether it was a receptionist. We went to a trucking company,
Hmm.
and like they had like a guard shack, and it was only semis coming in and out. And I'm just thinking, we are like, this is fish out of water. Why are we here? And just went up real friendly and said,
Yep.
hey, we were there. We were hoping to talk to the shop manager. And he's like, oh yeah, pointed us around, told us where to go, told us where his office was, walked up. And again, like I am like, my heart's beating out my chest. I'm like, why am I going to this guy's office? He does not want to meet people. This is a working semi repair shop.
Oh, wow.
But the people were so cool. And we just
Yeah.
stopped to have a conversation with them. I found that they were really receptive. And if you're friendly to the person at the front desk, the gatekeeper, they
Yep.
will get the person for you to talk to, or at least get you in touch with somebody. But you have to go in with like I'm here to be friends. I'm here to get to know everybody. I'm just,
Yeah.
I think a little bit of that humility. And I always found that I got a lot friendlier reception than I expected. Not everybody,
That's
but
right.
way more often than you would think. You don't get a get the heck out of here reception if
Yeah.
you go in with a smile and you're friendly and you don't seem threatening and all those things.
That's exactly it. And it's funny because your confidence goes up when that happens, and those no's, you're one step closer to a yes. And like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head, because those, gatekeepers become your navigator. And what I mean by that is they're going to find the decision maker. They know who to talk to, but you got to realize though, their job is to deter you a lot of times. Like the owner's busy, like those folks are busy. The gatekeeper is there to say, yeah, let me grab your information. I'll give it to the manager. Right.
Right.
So you got to know, like, look, I understand he's really busy right now. It's, the end of the month. You got to have like buzzwords that, especially like apartment complexes. Don't go there on the first of the month, because guess what they're doing? They're getting all the checks and all the people, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to be bothered the first of the month, so you got to figure out those times. You got to be in tune with their industry. So, you know what I mean? You're there at the right time, I think plays a big part in it. And that navigator is going to really say, oh, well, this guy kind of knows our industry. He's interested, he's friendly. Let's see what we can do. Let me put you in touch. Right.
Yeah. And I think it kind of starts with, I always think curiosity helps, when you're talking to people. And, I think the people that are the front facing person, that gatekeeper, how many people do they have really being all that friendly to them? There's a
Yeah.
good chance they have to deal with a lot of things that's not as pleasant, right? And I think if you can go in and think, how could I make their day a little bit better?
Mm-hmm.
How could I treat them in a way that would make them feel good? You'll break down some of those barriers, because they're people too. And they're just
Yeah.
trying to do their job. They're just trying to get through. They've probably had to make some phone calls that day with people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, I haven't, I think about like the people working in the office at an apartment building, they're probably chasing around all kinds of stuff that's a real pain in the butt. And a lot of people that are not friendly at all,
That's right.
and so if you don't go in there looking like, you're hungry and desperate to like get whatever you can from them, and you could be a bright spot in their day. And I think that, those basic rules of relationship, I think they apply everywhere in sales for sure.
Yes. And that's it, dude. Like you can be the bright spot in their day, right? Like you can brighten their day and they'll remember you. So if you say funny things and you do brighten their day, it's how they felt,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the key, is like, how did they feel when you showed up, when you left? Those are the things that you really got to focus on in sales, because if they got a nasty taste in their mouth, or, you were trying to bull crap your way through the sale, they're gonna be like, this guy's kind of shady. You know what I mean? Or if you're genuine and you're there for caring, they're like, wow, that guy actually really came in.
It does. And, and being super conscious of what are you giving off, in how you look. I have a friend of mine, and I've learned a lot from him, who is a chimney sweep, and,
Okay.
very unusual profession, but can be very lucrative because not many people are chimney sweeps.
Yep.
He is so mindful. Like, it's where he parks, it's how
Mm,
his shirt is and his hat is. And, he always has dog biscuits in his pocket, and he always manages, keeps his hands out of his pockets. And he goes
yeah.
through this whole thing of like, how can I be, he even wears like his reading glasses. He does, how can I be least threatening and most friendly?
Yeah.
Because you never know the person on the other side of that. And it's like, it'd be real easy. Like,
So true.
when you're doing work that's hard for a living, to be wearing a shirt that has a stain in it, or to like kind of have it untucked, or, to be nervous. So you put your hand in your pockets, or to have kind of threatening body language, especially as a guy. Like,
Yeah.
it's real easy for me to like have that RBF going on all the time. And I don't mean to, I just
Mhm.
sometimes revert to it. And so, those little things like, how would somebody feel if I walked up to them and approached them? Would they be scared? Would they
Ooh.
be like, this person seems legit? Or would it be like, wow, this is a really clean cut, friendly looking person. I want to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's like super obvious, but being mindful of those little details. I always think about this, like, and a great experiment is, walk into a gas station, walk into a convenience store, somewhere that you have nowhere to impress anybody, and wear your sweats or your pajamas and see how you get treated. Go into that same convenience store a few days later and wear a suit.
Yeah.
See how differently you're treated. People make judgments, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, about how you show up and what your appearance is like.
Yeah.
And I've just, it's one of those things, like, I like to be casual. I like to wear the t-shirt. I want to wear a hat. I like to do, that's just kind of how I am. But I also know that when I'm making a first impression with people, like, all those little things, whether they're thinking about them or not, are affecting how they respond to me.
Yeah. It's so true. So true. I mean, I remember the first time I like wore a suit, they're like, Mr. Clark. And I'm like, whoa,
right.
Whoa.
Right. You're like, who's that?
Yeah.
The other thing was, and talking about things that I've kind of had success with, is another real simple principle is like, give before you get, give before you take.
Yeah.
I remember this was years ago. And so we were really early on with being able to do like video for people. And we were at a conference, and we had a booth at not a big conference, but at a conference.
Mm-hmm.
And we were real bullish on recording content at places. So I'd bring like a soundboard and a couple of mics and a video camera, and we would record this. And this was like 6 years ago. So like nobody was doing this back then.
Nice.
And I know that's real common now to like record content at conference. People were not doing it back then. So it did stand out. But anyway, we'd have all this time standing around, waiting for, the participants who I was there to talk to come out. And so there'd be like, a room, there's like, there's always as many vendors at like a small event as there are, attendees a lot of times. And everybody's standing around with their hands in their pockets, like, what are we doing next? And so it just hit me. I was like, I could make some videos. I could interview each one of these people and make a video for them. And so I just went around the room, and 6 of the vendors, there's probably 12 in there. So half turned me down, half made a video. We just stood there. We stood at each mic. We talked about who they were in their business, and it gave me an opportunity to get to know them with no strings attached.
That's
and
awesome.
Have a real conversation. 3 of those people hired me.
Really?
To work for them. One worked with us for years. I mean, it was a extremely lucrative and meaningful client relationship. And I never had met them before. I had no idea who they were. But because we did something that they perceived value, I made a video, I published it, I gave it to them.
Yeah.
They saw me as a friendly. I wasn't somebody just trying to get something from them. I was somebody who given them something. And then it was, hey, how could we work together? Hey, how could we do more of this together? I really like you. We made a connection. And so that helped me to be in a situation where I wasn't trying to pitch somebody something who wasn't ready. And this is not new information. Like, I am not like the sales genius, but I know that if I can be in a situation where I can ask questions and I can get to know somebody and I can like hear what they have to say, they will tell me the things they need, and it'll be real obvious how I could help them. That heart of service, like, how can I help you? Not what can I get from you, but how can I help you? And I think when you have that in your heart, and like that's where you're going, it comes out. It comes out your words, right?
Yep. I agree with that. And it's crazy because you find out what, kind of what works, and that works for you. And you're like, okay, let's try it again. But that's in you, right? That's just what you do. But you saw the success from it, and you're like, okay, you know what I mean?
So I started doing it everywhere I went.
That's right.
Yeah. And it became the easiest way to get to know people. And I've found that to this day, like, looking at, I think there are more things that people do for marketing that are good for sales, and having conversations like you and I. Now, you and I have like known each other a long time. This is a little different, but if I wanted to get to know you and I wanted to have an opportunity for us to have a real low pressure conversation, I would interview you. And I have found that time and time. I've done it in my business. And I took this concept and we did it virtually. We did it for years, put it into clients' businesses. And it's a marketing tool, but really what it was is it created sales conversations with high impact potential clients.
Yeah.
People that would not have picked up the phone and given you 3 minutes on the phone were happy to give you 45 minutes in an interview.
Yep.
Connections are
That's the
built
thing.
during those 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Relationships are started.
Yes.
And that's the foundation. We do business with, and again, I'm not saying anything nobody doesn't know, but we do business with people
Yeah.
we like and trust. And that
That's right.
that takes a minute, right? Like that's hard to do sometimes off the get-go. So it's always, I know that doesn't work for everybody, but it's
Yeah.
always, how can I create an opportunity where I can get to know you a little better, and maybe we'll jive, maybe you'll like me before I have to pitch you what I want to sell. How can I do that? How can I be creative and make that opportunity? And so I think it's sometimes the best sales thing is, how can I go be where you hang out? How can I go be in a
Yeah.
place, where you are?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's a group. Maybe it's a local, I don't know what the word is, what, like Lions Club or chamber or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Chamber. Yeah.
That's why those things work, because you get in
Mm-hmm.
an environment where you can have some time with somebody when they're not stressed out and the phone's not ringing
That's
and
right.
they're like, what do you want? I have to get back to what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Right. So
That's right.
I've found, for me, when I can kind of take the pressure down,
Mm-hmm.
I can be comfortable, they can be comfortable. And that's what's led to my best sales success.
Yep. That's why people close on the golf course.
That's right.
It's exactly that. And you think about it too. This goes back to the disc profile, right? Knowing your customer avatar. And it's like, people love to talk about themselves, especially if they're like an I, right? Like,
Yeah.
just interview them, and they'll tell you stuff that they've never told people because nobody asked, right? And those are the big things, is like, when you get into like an interview, you kind of get intimate and you ask those questions. You're like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. Like, that's why I love doing this podcast, right? Like, you get into conversations, you're like, shoot, I didn't know that. And then somebody on a higher level, and now you guys can, bond, if you will, right, at a higher level. And then they're like, then you can, tell them what you do. And then now they're interested in what you do. And they're like, actually, I need that. And then they'll tell you, like you said, I think that was spot on, is like, once you have a conversation, everybody has needs, right? It's like, does your service, foster those needs? Can you serve somebody at a high level? My good friend Josh Latimer tell me all the time, he's like, dollars are just good deed tokens. Like you said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you serve them at a high level first, you give, right? You serve, and then the money comes in return. It always comes. It's just good deed tokens.
Yeah. I like that. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, for sure. I'm not, I know that people have created all kinds of sales skills that are a little bit, crisper and faster and can get the job done a different way. And that fits a lot of things. And maybe that's kind of what I've found, is that maybe that's just for me. Maybe it doesn't fit anybody else. I have to imagine other people feel like I do. Is you kind of have to be authentic to like who you are, right? And find the version of sales that kind of fits your personality, where you can be confident, you can shine. And then of course doing it, like, what you were saying is so true. Like, every time you do something, you get a little bit more confident, especially when you get that positive feedback. And heck, I try to pitch stuff to people all the time that I think is a no-brainer for them, and they're like, no flipping way I'm doing that. And that's just part of it too.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing for someone like me, because I do like to get to know people and I do want to have relationships, is remembering that it's not personal. They're just trying to navigate making the best decision for them, and people come back around, right? Like, one of my favorite things is, no just means not right now, right?
That's
No
right.
means call me back in a couple months, and that's probably one of the things that is like, totally underutilized. It's so easy to hear a no and then take a person off your list instead of circling back to them.
That's
But
right.
when you circle back to them, everything's different. And they don't remember that. They don't remember like rejecting you as some monumental point in
No,
your life.
that's right.
Might have hurt you. You might have been like, that really stunk. That hurt.
Yeah.
They don't. They were just said no that day. And then when you come back, they have a totally different viewpoint, totally different needs.
Yes. It's so good. No, and that goes to, like, we use send out cards. And so, like, little things like that, if they said no, and it goes back to a book too. There's a really good book. I think it's The Art of War, and it's like, I didn't win the battle, but I'm gonna win the war, right? So, like, that no is just not right now.
Yeah.
Because I'll get them next year, or I'll get them the year after, because we're gonna serve them at a high level. We're gonna send them a birthday card. We're gonna send them through sendoutcards.com. You know what I mean? I'm gonna send them a thank you card for giving us the opportunity to come out and serve them at a high level. And what else can I do for you? Little things like that they're gonna remember, and even keep that card. Like we have a joke that we had a stalker wall. So when we would go to like different, hotels and apartments, I would find out who the manager was, and I would be like, "Hey, when's his birthday?" Just joking around. They would tell you. So I'm like, "Great!" So I send him a birthday card, right? On his birth, no exterior cleaning company sending him a birthday card. You know, Shoot. A year later, he calls me back. He's like, "Why are you sending me these birthday cards?"
Yeah.
It's getting kind of weird. I'm like, "Dude, I just want to clean your building."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll even stop sending you the birthday cards if that'll help it, help
Right?
me
Yeah,
help us get this done.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. It is people, I had a friend of mine, Joe Everest,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? The fence
Yeah. The
expert.
fence expert, dude,
Um,
clutch guy.
we were doing an interview one time, and he said, the only difference between B2C, so business to consumer, business to person, and
Mhm.
B2B, business to business, is, in business, it's still people doing business with people. They're just spending someone else's money.
Yeah.
But all the same things apply. They still have the same feelings, and they still respond to the same connection and the same, whatever. At the end of the day, we just want to feel like we can trust the people we do business with. We
That's
want
right.
to feel like we're going to be treated fair. We want to feel like, we're not going to get egg on our face.
Mhm.
And if you remember that when you're talking to somebody, it goes a real long ways. If you can have a little bit of empathy, and like I'm a marketer at heart. I'm a content creator at heart. And what I've found is that like the number one thing that matters is you said this earlier, and we didn't spend nearly enough time on it, is understanding the person that you're talking to.
Mm.
It really is about them. It's not about you or your product or whatever. It's really
Yeah.
about like who they are, what they need, what they're going through, how they like to buy. Like,
Yeah.
how do they like to discover things, and how easy are you making it for them to make a decision?
That's
And when you start to approach it with like that empathy, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
not here to see if I can get a sale. I'm here to see if this is a right fit for them. And you mean that, you'll hear things that they say, you'll understand, you'll start to pick up on things. If you're like, hey, what would I need if I were standing in their shoes? What are they really looking for? What do they want out of this? You
Yeah.
know, it helps change your perspective. And I don't know. I think it helps in everything that we do. And I think sales and marketing are so closely interrelated, in how we approach them. If they're both done with empathy and they're both done with a bias towards connection, right?
Yes.
Like in everything. I don't care whether it is somebody fixing their car or buying a new house or making a business purchase. What they really want is to do business with that person that somebody was like, "Hey, you should do business with this guy because they're really awesome and they treated me really good." And they can say, "Phew, I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
that. We can just do this."
That's right.
Right? And that requires connection to
Yeah.
do it. So, no, just
Agreed.
just my thoughts as I ramble about this and was totally like, I didn't have any of these bullet points. I'm just kind of like
Yep.
digging into like what, kind of what I've experienced in the past and currently.
No, I love that. And you're right. We didn't spend enough time on it because there's so much to go in there. Like you hit the nail on the head, right? It was, how did they buy? Ask them a simple question. When was the last time you bought something with significance, right? Like new car, a camper, whatever it was. Well, tell me about that buying experience. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? They'll tell you everything. They tell you everything.
I think so like our philosophy, so that we kind of operate, and I think we can bring this into sales. It's not just marketing, is refocusing on the things that matter. And I think
Mhm.
that kind of goes down into three things. I think this will resonate with you. is clients, content, and community. It all starts with understanding the person you're talking to more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learning to utilize content. And I want to give you an example on this. I'll come back to it. How we can do that in sales. Delivering to people in the way they want to be delivered to, right?
Yep.
Whether that is entertainment, engagement, enlightenment, being able to deliver, right? In places where they are. And then the last thing is community, because at the end of the day, it really helps if you can have someone else's trust going into a sales situation,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
It always helps if you can have some kind of borrowed credibility,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I were to come to your event, and I know it's not your event anymore, but your event,
Mm-hmm.
and you were to invite me to be on stage, I've automatically gotten several credibility points over if I was standing outside of your event in the hall delivering the same message.
Yes. Yep.
Because you vetted me. I trust Pat. Pat
Mm-hmm.
trusts Brad. That means I can trust Brad, right? And I think we all, the power of community can be utilized a lot of ways. But I think it's powerful in sales too, right? Like if you can get an introduction,
Yeah.
to somebody, super, super powerful. But content can work in sales. So my wife works for a company called Reinhausen. They're in the power industry. And so they sell transformer parts. Stay with me here. Transformer parts and transformer service to OEMs, to people that actually own and operate this equipment, which can be municipalities, it can be private companies,
Okay.
et cetera, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that the initiative she's doing, because she's a marketer, is creating beautiful videos and this content to like expose to people. We even got to make some of this content for the company, which is really cool. Like, by the way, like the way all that stuff works is like mind blowing. Like, I'm like, I had no idea this even existed. Anyway, problem is her sales guys, like, how do they take this video and get it in front of their people? These guys are not really like avid Facebookers, these engineers, these buyers, these asset managers. They're not
Sure.
hanging out on social media watching videos about power equipment,
Yeah.
And so how did the salespeople do it? And the salespeople aren't all that, like sophisticated when it comes to how they deliver things. And so one of the things she is doing, they've got this group of reps that are out there and they have these relationships. So it's like, how do we get this stuff to create awareness about these new services to
Sure.
the people? Put it in take that beautiful video, they put it in a video brochure, and they're personally delivering these to people. Well, when
Oh,
they put
wow.
it in their hand, they do lots of nice design, nice packaging, beautiful box, brochures in the box, all the things in it, but they can open it up and have this beautiful video. And I wouldn't have thought about that because I'm like, I don't know about video brochures. Like, I know they've been around for a while, but coming up with a way to enrich that sales process. So instead of just getting a piece of paper, you're getting this like really nice interactive thing, and it's being delivered to you in a way where you'll watch it, where you weren't going to watch a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But when the person sends it to you personally, you will watch it.
That's right.
Right. And so it's like, it's learning to like, I think, mesh those experiences. Have you ever read the book, The Power of Moments?
No.
It's a great book. So first off, highly recommend The Power of Moments. But it's
Okay.
like in the process of selling and customer service, how do you create moments of elevation? Right?
Ooh,
Like,
yeah.
how do you do something that will stand out and people remember? And so I think this little gesture, and maybe a $30 on someone that hasn't bought, doesn't work for every business. If I'm selling something that's $100, it's too expensive. But if I'm selling something and I want like a $10,000 contract or a $20,000 or $50,000 contract, putting these $20 or $30 video brochures in those people's hands may be a really great way to do something that your competitors aren't doing. And I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying, what is that moment that they would remember you for?
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to mesh like content, which we think of as marketing, and sales into like a real seamless process.
Yes.
And that's where I think this like kind of the secret is be able to have those things in your pocket. That's like, how do I have good reasons to get back in front of them in a way that they'll see and remember? So highly recommend The Power of Moments. If you read it, you'll be totally inspired with ideas.
Yeah, I'm
I
checking
won't
that
give them
out.
away, but like he goes through all these documents of how they change the experience for people, and that totally changes how people view and experience your product, you know?
Yeah. No, there's so much truth in that. You know, we were going through the call center, national call center, and we have like a couple different things. We have one is a hunter script, and we need to put that emotion, right? That experience in that thing where it's not, you know, just a script. And so we were training on that. But it's interesting because that's exactly right. It's all about the experience for the client, how they buy and how they want to be sold to. And yeah, so good. So if you guys, you know, get the book for sure, study it, because these are things, you know, you could be putting in practice literally next week and see, you know what I mean? Like adapt your sales process to that and just make it better. You know, every time I leave a sale, I'm like, did I do the best I could have done? Right? Did I serve that client at a high level so that they will buy, they can buy because you know you're the best service for them, you know, but how are you pitching it to them? So that's good. So I want to run in because we're coming up on time. We're at 9:08. So I try
Oh
to keep
man,
these things 45
that
minutes, you know,
happened quick.
max. But I do want to touch because this rolls right into grit, right?
Yeah.
Like we talk about community and we talk about highlighting industry pros out there. And so, you know, we shot our first thing, which was amazing. You know, I always tell people like, dude, I always want to be a movie star. And dude, I felt like one when we were down there in Florida. That was just epic, you know, shooting the video. But if you want, share a little bit about grit, what the vision is, and then what do we got coming up? I know we're going to be at the Huge and stuff, so kind of dive into that a little.
Yeah, Project Grit was an inspiration. You know, one of the things that kind of goes along with. So, how do you put clients, content, and community into practice? How can I help a company put that into practice? Because those are what I believe are the building blocks to connection, and I think that's the biggest thing that we have out there for us is how do we create deeper connections with the people we want to do business with, right? And we kind of set out to create this series that would allow our partners and the people we got involved with. I'm thinking of this from like, you know, a bit of a promotional level, but, you know, to allow people to create engaging, entertaining content that wasn't just focused on products and technical and buy nows. And so we kind of explored, you know, what that could. That's been something that's been in the back of my mind for a while is how do we put this into practice? And, you know, my experience in the pressure washing industry and this window cleaning industry and the contractors around it is there's these amazing people and there's cool projects that I had no idea that existed. And I don't think a lot of people know that some of this stuff exists. And I thought, why does this industry not have some of the like amazing documentary type entertaining, like engaging, you know, video that I see in other places? And so our vision was, how do we bring that here? And like our goal is to, you know, showcase companies that are doing incredible things, projects that you wouldn't imagine or think about, or maybe have gotten up and close to, maybe scaring Brad a little. I think that's going to be like a central theme, but most of all, really getting to know all the people in the industry and celebrating it. I believe that there's so much not just to celebrate, but to like elevate in the industry. And I think that can be done when we kind of take the content we make and we focus on connection and we focus on telling those stories. And we do it in a way that is beautiful and fun to watch. And what it allows for is it creates a opportunity, a bed for companies in the industry, for, you know, and I know we use the word vendor, but I think it's like, it's the people that kind of power the back end of the industry, right? To collaborate and to say, how can we work as like an entire community to get behind this project that makes the whole industry shine brighter? Right. And that is something that not only contractors will watch, their customers will watch, but that the average person would watch and say, wow, there's so much more to this than I thought. And then a contractor will watch and say, I'm proud to be a part of this industry. I'm proud to be a part of this. Or that's somebody that I want to I want to grow my business to be like what they're doing, uncover, things, answer questions about like, getting kind of in the trenches with people that are doing it at different levels,
Yeah.
right? Not just, and I know the first company we filmed with was a remarkable success story, but it's at different levels. And from
Yeah.
the person on the ground doing it, like they were just as, I mean, the guy up on the lift with me spraying was just as remarkable to me as the guy that founded the company.
Yeah.
And it was like getting a chance to like get to know them and share those stories. We get to do it together, which is like super, super fun. Because you're an insider and I'm not an insider. I've been around the industry, but I've never been a contractor in it. So
Yeah.
I get to learn as I go, and I can, this is a bit of our dirty jobs, right? We're doing a almost like a dirty jobs, but a little bit more story focused, a little bit more business focused, version of that. And so we got to make the first thing. And I think we can even circle back and tell a little bit about what I've learned from sales from this, about kind of getting this project out. But yeah, I think it's this really beautiful thing that could be a catalyst if we get behind it to help the entire industry continue to take those steps forward, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's, bringing more awareness around safety or more
Mhm.
awareness around like projects that you didn't know maybe you could get involved in and learn about, or hearing from the people about like, what is it that makes a difference?
Yeah.
Along the way. And it's exploring it in a new and different way.
Yeah. And I think they're going to, like, this is what our industry, this is the next level for our industry, is like getting this out there, right? Maybe having a big TV station like Netflix picking it up. But like you said, training, safety, like equipment, like all that's going to be in there. So contractors can watch it, homeowners can watch it and be like, oh, I didn't realize all that went into it. Like, this is going to level up our industry for sure. And it's going to be fun doing it. We're going to really captivate, like you said, it might be the mom and pop, right, that are just getting started, but we're going to have fun projects in there, large companies to mid-size, whatever it may be. I think it's going to be a fun journey, and things will, just like anything does, you have the vision, and I think it's going to tweak and morph into something really, really amazing as we bring more people on. And they have stuff, they have ideas, right, that we can really captivate. And like you were saying, you know what I mean? This is going to be something that I think is going to be memorable for everybody to watch and be proud of, right? Like, this is what I'm a part of. This is the huge convention. This is that, right?
Yeah.
And they can take that and show friends and family and be like, yeah, I'm not just a pressure washer. You know what I mean? Like, no.
I imagine that, and this is one of my hopes for it. We select contractors and projects and things for the series, really based because we want to tell their story. Not because they're not paid promotions for anybody. This is all about like meeting the people and seeing all the different things. But I do like to imagine a version of this. Like, I think of like some of the shows on like Food Channel or whatever, where like the guy will go and visit the restaurant and the thing. And I think about how proud that person must have been to be on it, and how much it would do for them, as like, kind of showing really what makes them so remarkable. And I think sometimes those places are already like well known, but sometimes, it's like like a home renovation show. How the side benefit is some of those contractors that work on those projects get highlighted for the true professionals and craftspeople that they really are.
Yeah.
Right. And I just finished a book, and I'm like so jaded. I like the word craftsman. That's the word that I use. I don't care. I'm sorry if that offends people. I'm just thinking about all the editing that went in the book where I was told to use non-gender terms, and it made me mad. But the real craftsmen that they are. And so I hope that it celebrates the individual contractors who are a part of it. And it really shows off like, why they're unique and why they're special. And I hope we get to do that with a lot of guys along the road, as we explore it. And for us, I mean, it's just fun to meet people and to like dive in. This is that relationship building that we talked about at the beginning that I love so much.
Yeah. And it's so cool because we got so many people across the United States that, and even further, like we were just talking about, where were we talking about?
And we can't talk about it yet. We can't
Okay.
talk
Well,
about it
yeah.
yet.
But we're
Sorry.
talking about
Like that is, I was told not to say anything.
Perfect.
This has the potential to go like, there is a vision for this. That's,
Yes.
international, like it's
Mhm.
global. And like, that would be cool. Like I
Yes.
want to create, Pat, I want us to create something that rises above all the politics and disagreements and things that run through any industry or any group. And they're present in this industry too. And to
Yeah.
rise above that and be something that like anybody could rally around.
Yes.
That's what I want.
I love it. I'm right there with you, man. I'm excited for the ride. It's going to be a blast. So, if you're tuning in tonight, or if you're on Spotify, YouTube, check out the Grit Project right there. Now, Brad, where can they go? YouTube, where's it at? Where's the pilot
If
at?
you just go to YouTube, and I'm sure we can drop it in a comment or on a post here, but yeah, it's on the Structure to Grow YouTube channel. You can check it out on there. It's fun. I'd love to hear everybody's feedback on it. It's just such a blast to get to be a part of. And so humbling, like to get to work with people like you, our amazing crew, and the people that we just met out there. I was just to get to be along for the ride. It's a humbling, it's a joy, it's a real honor.
It really is. Well, there you go, guys. Check it out. YouTube, Structure to Grow. Just type that right in. Go to the Grit Project. And again, Brad, dude, thank you for being on tonight. I do got to hop off because I got to go grab some plumbing. And you know how I love the plumbing aisle at Lowe's. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, thank you for everybody hopping in there. I think Brad will drop the link in here. So keep an eye out for that. And, if you want to support us, you know what I mean, with the Grit Project, or you feel like, you can help out, reach out to Brad, myself, we really appreciate the support there. And like I said, we're going to be at the huge convention next week. So again, reach out to us, grab us, pull to the side, and we love to chat. But appreciate you guys hopping on here tonight. And we'll see you guys next week, Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if not there, we'll see you at the huge convention. So thanks, Brad. You're dropping that link now?
I was trying to drop the link in here. I'm like so having like I'm gonna drop it to you and let you throw it in. It's in the private chat. Sorry about that. I was so struggling. It wasn't letting me put it in.
No worries.
Technical difficulties. Yeah, we'll see everybody next week at the huge. We'll be around, hanging around. So please say hello.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Have an amazing night. We'll see you next week.